News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Matt Piper. A sealing of the strait. President Trump says the U.S. will blockade the Strait of Hormuz following the failure of peace talks with Iran in Islamabad. The blockade will effectively block Iran's means of exporting oil and will likely exacerbate oil and fuel shortages globally. It's expected to roil global oil markets. Trump spoke to Fox about the 20-hour talks between his vice president and Middle East officials, which led to no deal due to one big sticking point.
We were well represented, but we didn't get there on the important issue. They want to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons. I've been saying that for 30 years. I would never allow that to happen before I was in politics. And that country will not have nuclear weapons. Most countries shouldn't be allowed to have, but that country will not have nuclear weapons.
President Trump on Fox. On Bloomberg, his former national security advisor, John Bolton, says he supports the bloc.
If no Gulf Arab oil gets out, no Iranian oil gets out. Let's see how they feel about that in Tehran.
Former National Security Advisor John Bolton on Bloomberg this weekend. Two empty supertankers had to make U-turns earlier after attempting to make their way through the Strait of Hormuz. The tankers turned back near Iran's Larak Island. The specific reasons behind the about-turns are not clear. The dollar is expected to rise on Monday after falling 1.4% last week along with oil prices. So say analysts, who add the immediate outlook for treasuries is more mixed as safe haven flows joust with inflation concerns. There's growing concern about oil volatility and whether this is the beginning of a true supply disruption. Amrita Sen is founder and director of market intelligence.
What surprised me in this market is this consistent belief, I would say a lot of the macro traders have, that somehow there will be a resolution because the alternative is just too difficult to fathom, too difficult to kind of really think through and say, okay, what does this do to the global economy? I don't disagree with that, except that that's not the reason why the strait is shut to begin with.
Market intelligence director Amrita Sen also tells Bloomberg this weekend that even if the conflict wraps up quickly, production takes time to bring back up, and it could be months for certain countries to get back to normal. Voting still underway in Hungary to decide who will run the country. Polls close at 7 p.m. local time. So far, all figures point to a record turnout to see if Viktor Orban will end a 16-year run. Bloomberg chief Europe correspondent Oliver Crook on Orban's challenger.
Peter Magyar is still a very nationalistic figure. This is a person that is squarely on the right, really draped in the Hungarian flag. Even before J.D. Vance arrived here, he said basically, once again, something we've heard throughout the election campaign, this is an election that will not be decided in Washington, D.C. It will not be decided in Moscow, but it will also not be decided in Brussels. So he's really been taking some of the Orban playbook, but trying to give a more optimistic sort of view of the future.
Bloomberg's Oliver Crook on Bloomberg this weekend. Prominent supporters of California Congressman Eric Swalwell's bid for governor are withdrawing their support in a stunning political reversal. It comes after the congressman denied allegations that he sexually assaulted a woman twice, including once when she worked for him. He has not ended his campaign. The allegations surfaced weeks before mail ballots are scheduled to go out in advance of a June 2nd primary election. Bank earnings are in focus in the week ahead. Bloomberg's Karen Moscow has that.
Goldman Sachs kicks off the Wall Street quarterly earnings rush on Monday, with trading revenue and credit conditions in focus amid geopolitical tensions. We'll also get a look at existing home sales. Tuesday, J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo report, and we get another look at inflation with the Producer Price Index. Bank earnings continue Wednesday with Morgan Stanley and Bank of America, and the Federal Reserve releases its Beige Book. Thursday, we get the weekly report on initial jobless claims, industrial production, and earnings from Netflix. Karen Moscow, Bloomberg Radio.
In an evening prayer at the Vatican last night, Pope Leo again condemned the war in Iran and called on political leaders to stop and negotiate peace. He called for people of goodwill to pray for peace. For the third time in 4 days, Rory McIlroy and Cameron Young will be playing side-by-side at Augusta National. The two share the lead, but 6 other players are now within 4 shots. McIlroy's 73 Saturday cost him what was a 6-stroke lead through 36 holes. He is number 2 in the world rankings, 1 spot ahead of Young. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Matt Piper, and this is Bloomberg.